everyone, and welcome to our September 20th meeting here at Central Office, starting promptly at 6. I need a motion, please, that we approve the meeting agenda as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting agenda as submitted.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, board member comments? Mr. Stanfield? Mr. Ball?
None.
Esther? Jennifer? Okay. I just want to say I haven't been around the district a bit. I've had some issues going on in Louisville, but all that's good now. But it's been sure fun to listen to the football games on the radio and how exciting they have been. So kudos to the athletic department. And Lisa, I thought, Ms. Fisher, I wanted to compliment you, especially on the bowl game. Well done, well executed. And I heard a lot of compliments. I was there. We had a great crowd, and I really do attribute that to you and Clint. And I appreciate all that hard work.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Whitaker Bank too for
Definitely
sponsoring
Whitaker
that,
Bank
what
for
they
stepping up.
what they did for us to get us through. Yeah.
Definitely, thank you. Okay, well, let's move on to superintendent comments.
Just have a couple, not too many, but I do want to start by just again saying kudos to our staff, our teachers, and our principals, and our administrators. So we're a year and a half into a pandemic, and every day it is a challenge with COVID, and from our custodians to our cafeteria workers, our teachers, and all of our administrators, they have done an amazing job in uncertain times and uncharted territories. And so I just want to do another kudos, and just because we have been in this so long, I don't want us to forget to continually thank those folks for the job that they're doing every day in our schools. Also, just another little quick piece, we have a new visitor system for our schools called Raptor, and that we're going to be rolling that out. So if you do visit the schools, you may will see a system where your ID would be scanned in and so forth. And so that'll be rolled out in pieces, but I believe there will be a communication system with our parents this week. Just another step in keeping our students and staff safe. So that's pretty exciting to start rolling that system out this week. And of course, as always, my calendar is attached to the superintendent comments. And then you also will see attached there a Facebook report for August, which I am going to start attaching, or that you'll start seeing in superintendent comments, so that you can see how many folks we've reached each month through Facebook, whether it's shares or whether it is comments or likes, or that sort of thing. And so I'm not going to go deep into detail on that Facebook report, but I did want to briefly talk about social media during my superintendent comments. And so one of the things that that I've done with the help of Ms. Seppenfield is look at some surrounding districts, and they're specifically at their Facebook pages and their posts that they do for the month. And so we looked from the 1st of August to the last, so for the entire month of August, and we compared or looked at 6 other school districts and ourselves. And so we had, for the month of August, 117 Facebook posts on our district page. It's not counting our school pages, on our district page, 117 posts. I'm not going to read the names of the other districts. I'm not going to call that out specifically, but I am going to read you their post. The next closest district was 83, 39, 25, 21, 18, and 9. So I want to say kudos to Mrs. Seppenfield and all of our folks that really worked to get that positive out there in the community. Our total Facebook reach for August was 29,997, which means that many people either viewed one of our posts, they liked, shared, or left a comment on one of our posts. And so that's a very significant number for our district. I also want to state that in August of 2018, this is when Mrs. Seppenfield started with us. It was also my 2nd month here in the district. We had 2,990 Facebook followers. This month we have 4,641 Facebook followers. Instagram in August of 18, we had 1,008. We now have 1,565. A lot of those followers are our students because they use Instagram more than Facebook. And Twitter, we had 1,576, and we currently have 1,799. So we've increased all significantly with Facebook. And I think it's important to note that the majority of our parents are communicating through that Facebook instead of Instagram or Twitter. So this report is attached under Superintendent Comments so that you can see that. And I just want to say kudos to Mrs. Seppenfielden for the work she does around that each day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the report. Okay, next on the agenda will be student and staff recognition video. So this is about a 7-minute video, is that correct? Okay. We're going to be viewing it up. Mr. Ballard, you can go. Perfect, thank you. Yes, sir. Thanks, Matt.
This is Kathy Alt, and our staff voted to recognize her in our board meeting as the staff member of the month because she is beyond amazing with supporting our Spanish-speaking families. And she communicates with them in Spanish, she helps them with registration, she helps them with all things, any questions that they have, and our students that are learning English as well.
She makes herself available to those families at all hours of the day, whether it's by phone or by text, and she just is a resource that we could not do without your Hogsett.
And amazing beyond all those things. She's a fantastic Spanish teacher, a great colleague, we love her dearly. At Hogsett Primary, we are honoring our student leaders that help us with crew gathering each day at the end of the day. First, we've got Evelyn, and Genesis, Peter Swanson, and Skylar, Ella. This is Hogsett Primary, where the leaders and leaders are
Today I want to recognize these 4 gentlemen for helping to always get our morning assembly slideshow together. Every day they prepare a Google slide set for us that has our announcements, our birthdays. They even take special requests for songs like Beep Beep I'm a Sheep. They have jokes for the day, and they get feedback from their kids on that as well. That's for the day. And definitely keep us organized with a lot, and I mean a lot of humor in their slides. So I do appreciate you all working on that and helping us out every morning. And here we go. Max Watson, Leotis Lip, Preston Evans, and Pete Palmer. Thank you guys so much for all of your help.
Hello everyone, my name is Coach Drew. I'm a mentor at the middle school, also coach basketball and football. Today I want to recognize a kid named Shimiel Brigman. He goes by Shimmy. He's a kid who loves sports but really can't play due to disability reasons. So this year he wanted to be a part of the football team, so we allowed him to come out to be a manager, fill up the water bottles, and just be a positive thing around us. So this year, in a football game against Mercer County, we came up with the idea after we got a big score for him to be able to put some shoulder pads and a helmet on and score a 2-point conversion. And I just think it was something good for him, something he can feel a part of the team, and we're just so proud of him. And you will see it here in the next clip.
Hi, I'm Dr. Murray, and I'm the principal of Bay Middle School, and I'm here to talk about our board recognitions for this month. And the big recognition that we have is for the Hudson Ellis grant, which Jane Dewey helped us write the grant for. And it's it'll provide us the funds to start an artist in residence program at Bay Middle School, which will provide professional development for our staff members in their core content areas and give a great opportunity for our students. And I'm going to pass things over to Jane Dewey to talk more about it.
And hi, I'm Jane Dewey. I'm the Director of Arts Education for the Danville Independent Schools, and I couldn't be more thrilled with this initiative that's going to be at John W. Bate Middle School this school year. We're going to be putting artists in residence into academic classrooms so that an academic teacher can work with a teaching artist to create new ways for students to learn. And that's an exciting proposition because we hope to uncover hidden talents in students and just give them new tools to navigate the school environment. Thank you, Hudson Ellis, for being so generous with your funding.
Hello, I'm Principal Chad Lumen at Danville High School, and I'm here to honor Ms. Shelby Cameron. She has been recognized by her staff and students as Teacher of the Week. She is our first one. Shelby teaches math at the high school and has a wealth of experience that she shares with her kids and with her colleagues. Shelby, you want to tell us just quickly about what you do and how you do it?
Sure. I love teaching math, and so I try to get my students to love math as much as I do, and try to care as much about other kids. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for honoring Shelby at the board meeting. Hey, we're here at Danville High School with our National Merit Scholar semifinalist, Emma Nesbitt. We are honored to have her in our building and representing Danville High School. Emma, if you would, tell us a little bit about your process.
I just feel really honored and really excited to be a semifinalist. I know there's not a lot to get picked across the nation and even here in Kentucky, and so I'm just really excited to have this opportunity.
Well, we are honored to have her here, and she is the only one at Danville High School, and she is one of two in Boyle County. Hey, welcome from Danville High School. We are here to recognize our group of students that bring us the morning announcements. We have Lucy Kemp Gibson, Damani Bell, and Sammy Bobby. Not with us is Kendall Carver. Please tell us about how this came about and what you all do every morning.
Last year, our principal, Matt Elmore, sent out a message that said if anyone would like to do the morning announcements, they could. So I partnered with Class of 2021, Jenna Haynes, and we did the morning announcements over the end of the year last year. And over the summer, Dewey talked to me about creating a club. So we did. And then I got my two friends, Lucy and Sammy, and then we just started doing the announcements. So basically, we have a Google Drive that teachers can send us any announcements they would like, and we announce them. And we just try to do it with a little pep in our step to wake up everyone in the morning.
But it is a great way for us to start our day, and we are reminded every morning of the pledge and of the Danville flag. Thank you all.
And as always, go Lions!
That was excellent. Well done. And it's always great to see our kids and staff being recognized, and what a great way to do it with a video. So we do appreciate all the efforts put into that. Very well done. Okay, next on our agenda will be the superintendent personnel notifications. The board had time to take a look at all that. If you have any questions or anything you need to get from, you can just ask the superintendent and she can let you know. Okay, so do we have anybody to speak? We don't, so we reserve for public, we don't have anyone speaking. All right, item 5 on the agenda is approval of the previous minutes of meetings. I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve previous minutes as presented.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the August the 5th, the August the 9th, and August 16th meeting minutes as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. McDonald. Go ahead.
So this is a vaccine incentive program. Some of you have probably seen it in the news, and this is through KDE. So I think this is a great program. It's to help incentivize more staff to get their COVID vaccine. We actually have a pretty high percentage. Of course, that's a confidentiality issue. We vaccinated around 60% of our staff last year all together as a group, and of course a lot of us saw each other that day together, so we kind of know from that. And quite a few staff members have reached out to say that, hey, I got my COVID shot at a different time and different location. So I would estimate we're somewhere around 78 to 80%, and that's taking a little bit of a guess. But anyway, KDE has this program that they're using some of their federal COVID relief funds. And so through that, any staff member that is a full-time or part-time employee, and if it's part-time, they are, I hate to sound silly to say full-time, part-time, but they are part-time, but they're doing part-time all year long. They're on contract part-time, I should say on contract part-time. If they have both doses of the Pfizer or Moderna or the one dose of Johnson & Johnson, then they would qualify. We will take a list and we will get verification, either their vaccine card or from their physician or their medical provider by December 1st. So as long as a staff member is vaccinated and has provided proof to the district by December 1st, they will receive a $100 incentive. That $100 incentive will be paid out in January's payroll. Then we will file for reimbursement from the state, and we have to file that reimbursement by the end of March. I think this is a great program. It would take board action to vote for us to do that, so I'm glad to answer any questions at this time.
So everyone that has been vaccinated fully at this point will also get the $100.
Yes,
Is that correct?
any employee as of December 1st that is vaccinated, completely vaccinated, they have to have had both doses of Pfizer or Moderna, or they have to have had their single dose. So all employees as of December 1st.
Okay.
And all the money comes from KDE.
And we will be reimbursed.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds fantastic. Any other questions or comments from the board? We need a motion on this, please.
I'd like to offer a motion that we approve the staff vaccine incentive.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the staff vaccine incentive as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. All right, next we're going to start talking about our working budget.
Okay, so you have the budget uploaded in e-meeting, but you also see it on the board as well. So I'm going to talk through kind of some key pieces. So on page 1, I do want to point out, and of course the first 3 pages are our estimated revenue. So estimated on tax collection, SEEK, and some other pieces as well, whether it's motor vehicle tax or property tax, but this is a breakdown on all the estimated taxes. Our 2 largest areas that we receive our revenue and tax is SEEK and ad valorem, which is basically our property taxes, is the biggest chunk. You see some other minor taxes in there as well. So page 1, you will first see our beginning balance, and that's the very first thing at the top. And I just want to point out that our beginning balance 2 years ago was right at $2.8 million. I'm not going to read down to the cents in each one. You have the document. And then this past year, we were right at $3.58 million, and this year our starting balance is $6.46 million. So as we've worked with our auditors the past couple of years, you know, we've done quite a bit to cut and to really pull our contingency back up to a safe place so that we had the cash flow that we needed. And so we worked really hard, and that's been a group effort. Directors and principals have worked really hard to make sure that we were you know, watching every penny. We cut a lot of things like overtime, for example, and so forth, and we cut some staff to get to that point. But we're starting in a good place this school year at that $6.46 million. As you can see right below that, our estimated property tax is $7,217,052. And then there's some minor tax collections underneath that. The rest of the page is estimates of different places that we might possibly collect different taxes as well. Page 2. So our biggest revenue here on page 2, you're going to see is SEEK, which is about the middle of the page, and it says state program under code 3111. And as you go across, you see that that's 6.912 million. So those two, property taxes and SEEK, are our biggest places with revenue. And then we also have grants, federal funding, and those sorts of things that make up the rest of our budget. But here you're going to see the state and our local. On page 3, I want to point out just one thing on this page, and if you see, because we're still on revenue, so when you pop down just a little bit, it says federal reimbursements, and I just wanted to point out the 4810 line item where it says Medicaid reimbursements. So we only estimate a revenue there of $25,000. More than likely that will be a little bit more, but that can vary greatly because that's literally where we're filing for Medicaid reimbursement, and that's a very difficult process that we do, and it can be sticky. It also depends on the services needed by our students. So we could have a year where our students don't need as many services, or a year where they need more services. So that can vary considerably. But if it is more than the $25,000, that's just to our plus because we've received more revenue there. So just wanted to point that piece out because that looked a little different than last year's actual. But you can also see 2 years prior, the actual was very different than last year as well. So that can fluctuate. So the next piece, or the next page on page 4, this is where we really are looking at the budget. This is where we are estimating what we will spend in each line item. And so the very first code that we have, or the first line item, is 1,000, and that's instruction, and that's where you see the biggest piece of our budget when it comes to just our local dollars. And this includes all activities that deal directly with the interaction between our teachers and our students, and we have a lot of our teacher salaries in this line item. You'll see the biggest piece of our teacher and instructional assistants that work directly in the classrooms in this line item. So the second chunk of codes that you see is called Student Support Services. This is 2100. In this area, you're going to see people attendance, any social work service. This is where our guidance counselors sit, so guidance services, our health services, our psychiatrists, speech paths, occupational therapists, physical therapy, and then any other support services. Now, this does not include Frisbee. That's in a different one that I will get to in just a second. So that is 2100. So when we get down to 2200, you can see salaries and support staff. So we have places here which would be improvement for instruction, like professional development you would see sitting here. Our libraries, media services would be in this area, technology, our academic assessments like ACT, those sort of things you would see coming from this area as well. One thing I wanted to point out, so as you're looking at last year and this year, and you're kind of seeing, well, where do we see, increases? So if I jump back up to instruction, you will see a fairly significant increase. We always, if we have an increase, we would hope that it was in instruction. That's kind of our business, instruction here as a school district. You would want to see that. But if you'll notice, a big piece of it is in salaries. And in several of these others, if you see increases, if you'll look closely to benefits or salaries, you're going to see the majority of it in salaries. We did give a 1.5% raise this year. We also went up on our classified staff retirement, the portion that we pay in. So you'll see in some places where we have heavier classified staff, you'll see a jump in benefits. So if you look down through here, our budget is, and I'll continue with each one, but it is very similar to last year, and any increase you're going to see is going to be in salaries and benefits pretty much through the whole piece. So 2300, which is the next one that says district administrative support. That's the Board of Education, so that's any professional development that you're required and have to receive and attend. So any travel, board stipends. It's also the superintendent's salary, and I believe one other individual at the central office sits in this code. So that's $2,300. So moving along on page 5, we have our business support services in $2,500. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped $2,400. I apologize. That's our school administrators. So $2,400 is your principals and their offices. So our school bookkeepers, our school secretaries, our principals, their salaries and benefits, assistant principals. So school administration sits in $2,400. You can see it's very similar, and you will see the increase is fairly closely to salaries there. And then $2,500, we have our business support. So this is the finance team, tax collector, any printing, publication, which is probably a very minor piece that's in there, but any planning, research, development, any services that we receive. So for example, when we were working on our district facility plan, we had some services there. We had some business services that we used. So, and personnel, so HR as well, finance team and HR. So that's the majority of $2,500. One thing I will point out, which I've mentioned, benefits. If you will look at the benefits on behalf where we make those payments back, the majority of the individuals in the business support services are classified. And we took a large jump this year on on our portion that we pay on benefits back to the state, and you'll see a fairly large jump there. And that's because almost all, and it may be all, I would have to look at the list again, of our employees that sit under this are classified. $2,600 is plant and operations. And so, of course, that's exactly what that says. Operation of our buildings, maintenance, our grounds, which we have a lot of grounds, our equipment, our vehicles, maintenance trucks, security and safety. So security cameras, those sorts of things would fall under this. And anything to do with maintenance. So that's $2,600. And then $2,700 is transportation. So our buses, bus drivers, bus monitors, vehicle maintenance, all the professional development for our staff, working on CDL training, getting driver's license, and all of those pieces, setting student transportation. We did, I'll jump back to plant and operations. At the last board meeting, we talked about facilities, and we talked about approximately $250,000 to $300,000 worth of some needs in the district that would not be bonded, and it would need to come out of general fund. And we, because the board as a whole seemed to be in agreement that some of those were needs due to safety concerns and other issues, you will see a larger chunk there because we went on and placed that amount of money in here so that that work could be done. And that was from the discussion at last week's board meeting. We also placed the extra $51,000 for athletics, clubs, and activities is also sitting in this budget in the line item where it needs to be. When we jump down to $3,100, this is on page 6, which is food service and operation. You're going to see zeros because food service has its own account. Legally, we have to leave these line items here with a zero. For some reason, in some districts, food service wasn't balancing, and they were, you hate to say in the hole, but if they were not taking in enough money to cover their cost, the district would have to pick up that cost. So this will always sit at zero on this particular report because our cafeterias are in very good shape and we don't need that. But you will always see that they were zeroed out for that reason. And so then the rest of the report is getting into a detailed breakdown in each of these areas. I have a nice little sheet that gives information on each item and each code for the budget, and I put this description of the codes in e-meeting, so you can download this and see this as well. Are there any questions about the budget?
So I guess let's explain to the public stakeholders that the 1% raise, excuse me, for all employees comes to about,
100 and, it was 120, but if we roll each year, it would be more. So 130 to 140 for 1%. We did 1.5% this year. So the budget is outside of the raise, outside of the 300,000 or so that we talked about for facilities and the extra 51,000. Everything looks very, very similar to last year.
and so anytime we give a raise, that always stays with us. So that's why the board is very wanting to always give raises, but we also have to realize that it's something that never goes away. And that doesn't include what I call the creep, the step, the following year. So raises and our salaries and benefits take up about 83% of our budget, which is a big chunk. And we're working on that to get it lower. KDE would like to have us at least at 80. But to lower salaries and benefits by 3% is pretty astronomical. It doesn't seem like that much, but that's a lot of employees to be able to accomplish that. So just so those that are aware, it's always part of the budgeting challenge that we have. So any other comments or concerns? Okay. All right. Dr. McDonald, anything else that you have?
No.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with where we are at this point with the working budget? And remember, this is what we're going to live with for this school year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we need a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the working budget for 2021, 2022.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 21-22 working budget as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. All right, next we have on 7B, which will be our finance report.
So we have the first page of the finance report up on the screen. It's also attached to e-meeting. So you have three parts that you always look at on the first page. The first section, part 1, is our Munis balance. And so that's where you run the report within Munis and it balances out anything that's outstanding. And you see that our month end that was in Munis is $7,254,727.25. I will point out that you can see where we're up from last year for the same month, from 2020 to 21, which is similar to what we saw when we looked at the beginning balance in July on our working budget. The second section, as you see, that's the Munis balance sheet, which is, if you think about balancing your home checkbook, that's where you're looking at your expenditures and your revenues and seeing when you add and subtract what that balance is. It should always match the Munis trial balance at the top, and it does, so I won't repeat the number. It's the exact same amount, the $7.2 million. And then your bank statement, once you reconcile your bank statement, should match those two reports from Munis. And of course it did, and it's the same $7,254,727 and some change. And so all three of those did match, and you will see on there that Debbie Holbrook, who is a retired finance officer that has been helping us in the transition, has been preparing our month ends, and so that's why you see her signature with mine. And she does a great job. So we're good. We balanced to the penny, and all reports matched. So the next page that you'll see, again, this is our reconciliation of our expenditures. So that is our money that went out, and you see the claims tickets. And then the next page is our revenue. So that's where we took in revenue. And the last page, as always, is the first page of our bank statement. And you can see that those amounts match what's on the report that you see on the first page. And so it looks very similar to us always, and we did balance. So I'd be glad to take any questions.
Can I ask when the tax statements will go out?
and I don't have the date in my head, but it will be in September, so it will be soon. They are,
mid-September or so.
yeah, they're mid to end, and they're with the company that prepares them.
Sure. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments they want to make about the financial report? Okay, seeing there are none, do you need a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the financial report as submitted.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the approval of the financial report as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next report we're going to is payment of invoices. Dr. McDonald?
So first I want to say thank you to Mr. Glenn. He picks up our payment of invoices every month and goes through them and points out anything that we need to double check or just maybe have questions about, so we appreciate that work, Mr. Glenn. On page 1, we do try to point out 2 or 3 little items each month, and so this is attached in e-meeting as well. If you want to view it, you can go through it, but of course these are just basically our bills if we want to compare it to what we do in our household. And first page had an Advocate Messenger for $162.31. Next month you will see a little bit larger Advocate Messenger, but we've been advertising for our newest board members, so thank you for serving. Then you can also see on page 5, Bob Allen Motor Mall of $3,081.78. We had a couple of our maintenance truck need some repairs, and so that's a larger one that you don't normally see that we had repairs on. We also have on page 8, I thought it would be interesting to point out, we do try to shop local when we can, and the price is comparable. Of course, we are under strict KDE and regulations that we always have to have 3 quotes. But this month we spent $5,904.35 with Danville office equipment, and so they are very good to price match so that we can shop local quite a bit. And so that was really nice to see that. On page 11, you'll see Hilliard. We get a lot of our cleaning supplies from there. You can see that that's all custodial. The price actually rose to page 12, which is $6,132.61, and we're doing a lot of extra cleaning, which is really good. We've got an amazing custodial staff in this district, and so kudos to that group as well for all that they have been doing. They do a really great job. The last thing I'll point out is on page 22, near the end of the report, you'll see Wayne Supply Company for $134,919, and that's our newest bus. And if you'll remember, because of the Volkswagen settlement, about 60 or 65% of that was paid for. So a big chunk of that we will receive back in a reimbursement payment from the districts. That was really nice. So just a few things to point out that are not the normal things that you see on there. Be glad to take any questions.
So we only got one new bus this round?
This round, yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Okay. Seeing there aren't any other comments, we need a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the financial report for payment of invoices as stated on the agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the approval of invoices that's submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, as you can see under consent agenda, I think most of these items were all discussed at last week's meeting. So if there's not any comments, we need a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, A, B, C, D, and E.
So we have a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, under number 9 is other items not on the agenda. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. McDonald.
Yes, so I'd like to make one announcement. Would like to announce that I am formally submitting my resignation this evening, effective October the 10th, 2021, from my position as Superintendent of Danville Independent Schools. I am resigning to pursue other professional opportunities. Thank you.
To make this official, we need a motion to accept the resignation that's submitted.
I make a motion to accept Dr. McDonald's resignation from our superintendent of the board, Danville Independent School System, effective 10/21. 21.
10/21.
Okay, we need a second, please.
A second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of our superintendent, Dr. Tammy McDonald, effective October the 10th, 2021. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The board will proceed. At this point, we will have a special called meeting this week so that we will be able to gather information on how we're going to proceed. We have a couple of choices. We can either bring in an interim superintendent until we feel like we're ready to officially declare the vacancy, or we can officially declare the vacancy and proceed on to actually hire a superintendent. I don't have any recommendations either way on that, but that'll be something that the board will discuss. I'm going to ask our attorney, Mr. Pennington, that meeting would involve, we would be in closed session, is that correct?
In terms, it could be both, actually. In terms of discussion of process, it may be an open session.
Okay.
If the board is at the point, at whatever time we're at the point of interviewing candidates, that would be a closed session, of course.
Okay. I can say that the Kentucky School Board Association thankfully provides two boards options on and how they conduct those options. They also do have a list of folks that they would recommend as interims. It's interesting that there are some of these folks that have been interims for years, taking their superintendent experience and, you know, going into a district for 4 or 5 months, and then the board at that point would hire a superintendent. So I'm not sure where we're going to go on this. I'll put out a notice officially tomorrow that we will send out district-wide and community-wide on exactly when the meeting is. I'm shooting for Thursday. I'm hoping that we can do Thursday at 6, which the meeting would be here. And then that'll give us time for, and if you all don't mind, if I have your permission to contact KSBA to get the information that we're going to need to help us get through this process. And it would be on either a superintendent's vacancy or it would be on hiring an interim. So, and I'll have all that together as long as it looks like Thursday.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we
So
can.
you'll bring information for both scenarios?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
So, I do want to say and thank Dr. McDonald for her service to our district. It's not always been easy, and it's not easy for superintendents in this day and age. But I do appreciate your service to us, and not to us, but just also to our kids.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. So item 10 is we need a motion to adjourn.
I offer motion of adjournment.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?